Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video and welcome to day 17 of Trusting God's Plan in the Wait. We're excited to have you here in Mastering the Faith. If you found this video through Mastering the Man, go ahead and make the switch over to Mastering the Faith because that's where I'll be posting all of my faith and mindset content moving forward, just to give it its own place to live and its own place to exist and grow and prosper. So I've taken it away from Mastering the Man, which would be mainly just daily vlogs and daily updates of my life, just so you can keep up with my day-to-day. And without further ado, let's get into day 17 because today is the day of the big reveal. And this is what we've been waiting for over the last 17 days out of 22. Yes, we've been here 17 straight days, and I'm glad that you've been here with us. So let's go ahead and get straight into it today, and let's understand what's going on in Joseph's life right now. Let's go. And day 17 is entitled, But God. I love watching home makeover shows. I typically fast forward to the end to see the big reveal because I love to see the broken and worn down become something beautiful for all to see. Isn't that the Christian life in a nutshell? This is the moment we've been waiting for Joseph no longer is able to play the part of the Egyptian around his brothers. The weight of 13 years of betrayal and hurt are about to be released as he weeps so loudly that the entire household hears his cries. Along with his brothers, he says, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" But they can't answer him because they are frightened to death. They're confronting the brother they betrayed face to face. Joseph begs them to come closer to reassure them, "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save the lives that God sent me ahead of you." This is a huge principle to learn while waiting on God. No matter how bad your circumstances, if you can ask to see God's perspective, your wait will have purpose because you will grow. Joseph goes on to say, "But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth to save your lives by the great deliverance." Two key words, if you can learn anything from today's lessons, are this: but God. So then it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, Lord of his entire household. He made me father to Pharaoh, Lord of his entire household and ruler of all of Egypt. If you insert "but God" into your circumstances, it will change your perspective. You may even see God's preparation in the waiting. All right, y'all, so let's try it. It says, "But God gave me a platform to share my faith when I was battling cancer. But God allowed my divorce to draw me closer in my dependence on Him. But God used my time in jail to help troubled youth avoid that path in life. But God provided for my family during the pandemic. But God allowed me to be single to encourage other singles. But God used my layoff to create deeper dependence on Him." Joseph sent his brothers home with carts full of gifts. And a new home waiting for them in Egypt. They have the joy, the trepidation to telling their father Joseph is alive and now the ruler of Egypt. I'm sure it wasn't fun telling them why he was alive and not eaten by an animal, but let's focus on the happy part. Jacob is stunned and realizes they are telling the truth due to all the carts full of Egyptian gifts. At this point, his spirit revives, and Jacob, also known as Israel, said, "I am convinced my son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." All right, y'all, so let's get into today's questions because, again, this is exciting. What do you think was going on in the brothers' minds when Joseph revealed who he was? I think they were just honestly just beyond shocked, beyond words, because here you are thinking that, for the last last however many years, my brother's dead and he's dead because of me, and that guilt that had been weighing on them. And I don't think it was immediately lifted off of them. I think they were like, this has to be some type of joke. So I think just understanding, how mysterious the world works and how things worked out, it took a lot of convincing for them to really understand that this was their brother that they sold into slavery. And once you kind of accept that, then you can begin to understand the joys that they were kind of feeling, probably understanding that, what we did was wrong, but it just turned out so right. And our brother has forgiven us. I think that was the biggest thing. Our brother has forgiven us more than anything else. I think that was what weighed heavy on them. Why do you think God disallowed Jacob from knowing his son was alive the entire time? I think, I can't speak for God, right? Why do you think God disallowed Jacob from knowing his son was alive? I mean, that we don't know Jacob's story. We don't know Jacob's dependency on God throughout that time. You know how hard it probably was for Jacob to have another kid, let alone another son, and kind of look at Benjamin and look at him grow and think, man, this is supposed to be growing with his brother. You know, like this could be the same thing could happen to him, and just the kind of covering and protectiveness that he had over him. So we don't know Jacob's dependency on God in this situation. We don't know why God doesn't let him know that his son was alive, but we can, think that, God kept Jacob alive to see his son again one more time. Have you ever considered the but God in your current circumstances? If so, how would you finish the sentence? But God. But God woke me up today to create and connect with you all, really. Every day I'm seeking purpose. Every day I'm seeking, a fulfillment in anything that I do. And I think that's an important reason why I continue to make videos. I continue to push content like this, because for me, it's one of the reasons that I'm waking up. Right. For me, it's one of the reasons that I'm waking up every day. It's one of the reasons that I'm here, is to build and push God forward in everything that I do, because he's got me to where I am. There's times where I couldn't eat. There's times where I couldn't sleep or didn't have a place to sleep. But God made a way. How does having God's perspective change what you are currently experiencing? Just knowing, it just gives you a silver lining, right? It gives you understanding that there's better on the other side. But it's like I say sometimes, like when you're stuck in a season, or when you feel like you're going through a season, you just have to remember that you're going through a season, and you'll come out on the other side. All right, let's get into today's verse reading. It is Genesis 45 on down, and it says Joseph reveals his identity. And again, we're reading from NLT, just something that I know helps me understand the verses a lot better, and hopefully it helps you too. Joseph couldn't stand it no longer. There were many people in the rooms, and he said to his attendants, "Out, all of you." So he was alone with his brothers when he told them who he was. Then he broke down and wept. He wept so loud that the Egyptians could hear him, and the words of it quickly carried into Pharaoh's palace. "I am Joseph," he said to his brothers. "Is my father still alive?" But his brothers were speechless. They were stunned and realized that Joseph was standing there in front of them. "Please come closer," he said to them. So they came closer, and he said again, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into slavery in Egypt. But don't be upset, and don't be angry with yourselves for selling me into this place. It was God who sent me here ahead of you to preserve your lives. This famine that ravaged the land for 2 years this famine that ravaged the land for 2 years will last 5 more years, and there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. God has sent me ahead of you to keep you and your families alive, to preserve many survivors. So it was God who sent me here, not you. And he is the one who made me an advisor to Pharaoh, the manager of his entire palace, and the governor of all of Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and tell him, this is what your son Joseph said. God has made me master of all the land of Egypt, so come down to me immediately. You can live in the region of Goshen, where you can be near me with all your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds and everything you own. I will take care of you there, for there are still 5 years of famine ahead of us. Otherwise, you, your household, and all your animals will starve." Then Joseph added, "Look, you can see for yourselves, and so can my brother Benjamin, that I really am Joseph. Go tell my father of my honored position of Egypt. Describe to him everything you have seen, and then bring my father here quickly." Weeping the joy embraced Benjamin, and Benjamin did the same. Then Joseph kissed each of his brothers and wept over them. And after that they began talking freely with him. Next there it says, Pharaoh invites Jacob to Egypt. The news soon reached Pharaoh's palace. Joseph's brothers had arrived. Pharaoh and his officials were all delighted to hear this. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Tell your brothers, this is what you must do. Load your pack animals and hurry back to the land of Canaan. Then get your father and all your families and return here to me. I will give you the very best land in Egypt, and you will eat from the best of the land it produces." Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Tell your brothers, take wagons from the land of Egypt to carry your little children and your wives, and bring your father here. Don't worry about your personal belongings, for the best of all the land of Egypt is yours." So the sons of Jacob did as they were told. Joseph provided them with wagons as Pharaoh had commanded, and gave them supplies for the journey. And he gave each of them new clothes. But to Benjamin he gave 5 changes of clothes and 300 pieces of silver. He also sent his father 10 male donkeys and loaded them with the finest products of Egypt, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain and bread and other supplies that he would need on his journey. So Joseph sent his brothers off, and as they left, he called after them, "Don't quarrel about all this along the way." And they left Egypt and returned to their father, Jacob, in the land of Canaan. "Joseph is still alive," they told him, "and he is the governor of all the land of Egypt." Jacob was stunned at the news. He couldn't believe it. But when they repeated to Jacob everything Joseph had told them, and when he saw the wagons Joseph had sent to carry them, their father's spirits were revived. Then Jacob exclaimed, "It must be true. My son Joseph is alive, and I must go see him before I die." All right, y'all. So that's it for today, day 17. Glad to have you all here with us. I hope to see you all tomorrow, day 18. I'm glad that you made it this far to the video. If you made it this far to the story, let me know what you're thinking. One way to let me know is you can join in the comments or in the group chat. If you don't know about the group chat, hit the link in the description. Join us on the Bible app and join in the Bible plan, where you can see feedback from other like-minded people about the story of Joseph and trusting God's plan in the wait. I hope to see you all tomorrow, day 18. We're almost there. We're getting good. Let's go. See you guys. Keep mastering. God bless.